Hey folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on the show. In the age of deepfakes and rampant AI slop, how do you know if what you're seeing is real? In the past couple of weeks, I've been getting messages from some old friends who've been saying that they've been seeing my face pop up all over the place in video ads on social media feeds. And I said, that's interesting because I don't do any video ads, and I never have. I don't do any social media advertising. So whatever is out there isn't actually me, or it's not from me, and I'm certainly not getting paid for it. They don't have my permission. So this is actually a little bit of a crazy situation. I'm not too worried, and it's actually not that new, but it definitely has been ramping up lately. So apparently there are some scammers pulling from some of my podcasts and podcasts appearances to sell who knows what, carbon monoxide detectors, the supplements, food products, technologies, worse, I'm sure too. But if you ever see that, just double check, verify first that it's me, because it's probably not, especially if it's selling something. So just to be clear, I work with, very selectively, I work with a few partners on the podcast where you'll hear me do ad reads for companies that I believe in and I use myself, generally food products and that sort of thing. A lot of you know that I also make small investments in startup companies like Primal Kitchen, Thrive Market, Element, Aura Ring, and a few others. That's something different. Sponsorships are just ad reads on the podcast. So anyway, I want to be clear and transparent about whatever my biases are or conflict of interest and that sort of thing. But just know that if I'm out there selling something on anything other than the audio version of my podcast or mentions of brands on my newsletter, then it is not me and they don't have my permission. So if you could try to message the real me and let me know about those posts, and we'll flag them and try to get them down. We've already gotten a few of them down so far. But I just want to make sure that you have this on your radar, not only for our situation, but also knowing that if it could happen to me, it could also happen to just regular folks with families without any sort of public influence. We already have the technology to be able to spoof people, and there are all sorts of wacky scams that are starting to happen with impersonating people's voices, name, and likeness to achieve all sorts of malevolent ends. So be careful out there, and if you do want to follow the real me, then make sure to go to my actual website at abeljames.com. That's ABEL James.com, and sign up for the newsletter there. And you can also sign up for my Substack at abeljames, abeljames.substack.com. Follow me there and message me with DMs and that sort of thing. On social media, I do have accounts on most of the different networks, but there are so many fake accounts, it's hard to know which one is me. But those of you who are in touch with the real me know it, and I look forward to I say all of this also to just say we're going to be doing a lot more in-person events, because I think that really is the future. This time of using the internet to collect information instead of connecting everybody in the way that it was supposed to democratize information instead of, generate endless AI slop. It feels like a lot of the promises of the internet in many ways have been dashed, at least for now. I think it can get a lot better, and I'm optimistic that it will. But in the meantime, we're going to be throwing a lot more in-person events, and also introducing you to our new online community club, which is going to be called Club Wild, which is almost ready for you. We're going to be making a lot of announcements about it soon. So, and we're really excited. This is going to be some of the best work that we've done in years, especially around my new book about longevity that's coming out. I'm going to be talking about that more in this episode, but please to follow us and to stay up to date to eventually join in the in-person events that we're doing, the retreats, as well as our online membership club. Check out abeljames.com, abeljames.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and we'll be sure to keep you up to date on all the exciting things that are coming down the road. All right, so about this episode, this is kind of a fun one where I just sit down and talk about all the experiments that I've been running on myself as I've been recovering from this hit and run freak accident that messed up my spine with multiple herniations, an annular tear, messed up my shoulder and some other things like that, made it impossible to really do the same exercises that I've been doing for many years, as well as the same sports or even play guitar. And then if you hang on until the end of this episode, I also am going to just put on the entire live show. Much of it was improvised, of my original tunes that I played in Vegas, one of the shows from there. So make sure to hang on for that. And a couple of the other things that we'll be digging into in terms of ideas are why it's best to train for resilience before you actually take the hit. For so many of us, we wait, myself included, for something horrific to happen in our lives, some freak accident, some diagnosis, or something that makes it impossible to ignore some of the underlying issues. So we talk about why it's best to build that resilience in your own lifestyle so that you have this adaptive reserve that you can pull from during that time of recovery from injury. Also, how to turn setbacks into gifts by refusing to settle for the poor me thinking, which definitely I was spiraling down for a little bit there. Specific therapies, foods, and supplements to bring you back to 110% recovery instead of just 100%. I'll explain why that's something that I reach for. And I'll also talk about the interesting results from a couple of other experiments that I've been running in terms of training differently and focusing on the things that I can do instead of the things that I can't. Some lessons for you. And then another quick reminder, right before the accident, I was out playing a bunch of music shows. I play guitar and sing. I play piano too. Stay tuned for some holiday tunes that'll be coming out pretty soon. But anyway, this is an entire show from Nos Vegas, a Noster event that we threw in Vegas just a few months ago this summer. So I hope you enjoy some of these original tunes and the special guests that are coming at the end of the episode too. All right, let's get to the show. Hope you enjoy. As soon as you think you have it all figured out, absolutely everything can change in an instant. What do you do when out of nowhere life hands you a serious injury or diagnosis? Today I'll be walking you through my latest experiments and lessons learned from recovery after getting knocked out of commission a few months ago in a hit-and-run car wreck, including multiple herniated discs in my spine, torn ligaments in my neck, and a serious concussion and traumatic brain injury, amongst other things. Since these injuries made my normal training, sports, activities, and work next to impossible, or actually impossible, I've had to make some adjustments and also start some experiments by tweaking things that I hope can help you also change and make some life-improving tweaks in the face of life handing you a setback, which it always does. You don't know when they're coming. It's unpredictable. Sometimes it's our fault. Oftentimes it's not. But we do have to respond, and that's really what matters. In the face of a serious illness, injury, or other setback, we have to take action, especially once we've healed out of the acute stage. So that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about today. Now that I'm about 4.5 months out from the accident, I'm out of the most serious acute phase and transitioning into another phase, but I'm still not able to get back to the things that I would normally do, the way that I would normally train, the exercises, that sort of thing. So this actually, in some ways, simulates what it would be like to be older in my 80s, 90s plus with a compromised spine, balance, vestibular system, and other systems. So anyway, we'll be digging into that a little bit later in today's solo episode. Before we get too deep into that, here's a quick plug. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the Abel James Show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you dig it, please share this episode or another one with a friend who you think might appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to stay up to date on our next live events, retreats in exotic locations, or the exciting community club that we're building right now, make sure that you sign up for my newsletter at abeljames.com. That's ABEL James.com. And you can also sign up for my Substack for ad-free versions of this show, behind-the-scenes episodes, and much more. That's at abeljames.substack.com. Look forward to seeing you there. This episode is going to be a bit of a soliloquy, but a lot of you have been writing in, asking questions about the accident, the recovery, lots of other things. So I think this is a really good chance for me, an opportunity for me to share some of the biggest things that I've learned that could help you if you ever experience some similar diagnosis, injury, or life setback. Now, this certainly surprised me, and it might surprise some of you as well. Over the course of the average American's lifetime, the numbers don't always align on this, but it's somewhere around this. The average American will experience 3 or 4 different car accidents, and many of them will result in serious injury. Not all, of course, but many will. Another way of looking at it, or another stat that I came across, is that 75 to 77% of Americans, driving Americans especially, will be in at least one serious car wreck over the course of their lives. And once again, this isn't always your fault. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere. As in my case, I had driven hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles, literally, in multiple cars without any accidents, without even getting a speeding ticket ever. Literally, I got a warning once or twice, but after losing a close friend and my cousin in a serious car accident when I was a teenager, when someone else was speeding, I decided that I would basically never do that again, not in my own life. It is simply not worth the risk. And I hope that you can hear that as well, whether you're just 16 years old and listening to this and you just got your license, or you're a seasoned driver. When it comes to going fast, that's when most of the horrible things happen, as did for me. So just a quick recap of what happened in my accident. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was actually going out to get like a local paper that has some of the listings for what's going on for different bands to see and things like that here in Austin. And my wife's birthday was coming up. And so I was just running some errands on a Sunday afternoon, driving in our little Mini Cooper convertible on a road that's just 5 or 10 minutes down the street from where we live in South Austin. Speed limit's 35. It's right next to a school with a park on the other side. So I'm just kind of minding my own business in the slow lane, and this car comes up behind me. And it must be going, I'm going around 30, 35. The speed limit is 35. And this car, I had AI estimate, based upon all the damage and things that happened afterwards, how fast he must have been going. But this kind of jives with what I saw in the rear view mirror in a quick blur before I got hit. It seemed like he was going about 80, 85 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. So when you get rear-ended at that kind of speed with that sort of differential in weight as well, because the car that he was driving was much, much larger and heavier than the tiny little Mini Cooper I was driving, the impact ripped my back wheel off, tore off the axle, which was just left behind the car like 100 feet as I was dragged down the street. It ruptured the gas tank, so gasoline was just gushing everywhere, and it knocked me out. So I didn't have full control over what was happening or where the car was going for an amount of time that I'm not really sure of, but it was really just a brief moment. But thankfully, I was able to somehow, instead of being pulled into 2 lanes of oncoming traffic, negotiate the car to the side of the road where I wasn't going to be impeding active traffic going the other way. I still was from the direction behind me. But essentially, my memory of the incident itself is somewhat compromised as well. There's a gap in time, and my understanding of time also kind of changed during that. When you go through a life or death type experience, or when your adrenaline is firing like that, we've all experienced time slowing down. But also when you have a concussion on top of that, the reimagining of the memory and trying to piece everything back together sometimes is difficult. But over the past few weeks and months, more and more has come back, so I have a better idea of what happened. But firstly, I just want to say thank you to the higher power for that I'm still here. There are many versions of this where it could have gone another way. So I take that very seriously. And you longtime listeners know I'm a very spiritually connected person. So I take this very seriously. And one of the things I've tried to do, taking an unexpected, unprecedented negative event in my life that really disrupted so many things in my life, trying to take that negative energy and transmute it into something better has been a serious exercise that I've been undertaking over the past few months. But I'm happy to say that I'm in a far better place than I was a few months ago after the accident, and certainly even a few weeks ago. But let's dig into some of the things that I think could really help you. Aside from the instance and the risk of most everyone, even if you're just a passenger, of being on the road, this is something that we need to acknowledge a bit more. We drive pretty much every day, most of us, but that doesn't make it any less unsafe. Essentially driving on the road at speeds 65 plus, or even less than that, for most of us is the most dangerous thing that we ever do, or the most dangerous thing that we regularly do, certainly. And especially if you add on speeding or just kind of like racing around and driving in a way that's irresponsible, which can be fun. Trust me, I've been there too. Whether it's you or someone else doing that adds to the chaos and confusion. And then we have everyone scrolling on their phones as they're driving down the road. I'm sure all of you have seen this, where you just look over and someone's kind of swerving, or you can tell they're not paying attention. And you can see that they're watching YouTube videos on their phone, or they're scrolling Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And this doesn't necessarily give me, or I'm sure you, more confidence in your safety on the road. And it shouldn't. We all need to take this very seriously. So I've heard this from a number of people who have helped me heal, the doctors, the physical therapists, and all the rest of that. They said, you were really in it and you got injured hardcore, but if you hadn't been in good shape to begin with, your recovery wouldn't look like it did. My recovery and my prognosis has been, from the most of the people who are treating me, they've been quite optimistic, especially after the first couple of weeks, because they could see I was starting out already in very good shape. I had been doing some experiments in the way that I had been training leading up to the accident. I was basically trying to get as strong as I'd ever been, specifically in deadlifts, heavy deadlifts, and heavy squats. And I got there. Over the course of many, many years of training, I just progressively overloaded my nervous system, got stronger and stronger, to the point where I was lifting pretty absurd amounts of weight, at least for me. Like, I'm not competing or anything like that. I can't compete with the actual lifters out there. But for me, recreationally, as an athlete, just working out of home in a gym sometimes, and my friends can vouch that I get after it when I'm working out. This was something that I was pretty proud of, getting to the point where, even though I'm now 41, at the time I was 40, being in the best shape of your life, or at least being in the best strength of your life at 40 years old, is something that I was pretty psyched about. I wasn't as fast as I've been in the past, but I was still pretty fast, because in April I ran an off-road 5K, the Run for Hal, which was so much fun, just north of Austin. And I was actually the musician there too. So I ran the 5K in the morning, and I promised myself that I wouldn't expend too much energy, because, now I'm in my 40s. I'm not racing regularly, and I've got to play this like hour and a half show after the race in front of a crowd and get through all of that, which takes a lot of energy, especially when you're playing outside in the sun and that sort of thing. So I promised myself I wouldn't get after it too hard, but out of the gates, of course, I'm going faster than I probably should. And the guy behind me was trying to catch me pretty much the whole 5K. And my pride got in the way, and I wouldn't let him do it. And so I actually finished the 5K in first place for that particular race, which I was pretty stoked about. And then carrying that momentum forward, played the live show at the Run for Hal, which is so much fun. And then a few weeks later, as you longtime listeners know, I went out to Las Vegas and played a few shows, sang a few shows that went really, really well. Get back home to Austin, and just like a week or two later, I'm laid out, knocked out of commission, my body and my mind, for months and months and months on end. So that was a difficult thing to stomach, not just at the time, but when you're preparing to do these sorts of events, whether you're trying to be as strong as ever and working on progressive overload, it can take many months or even many years to build up your strength and to get to that level of shape. As soon as you stop doing that, as soon as you're in the hospital or you're just in your bed for a while not working out, so much of that progress completely evaporates within just a week or two. When you go into bed rest, especially as an older person, not so bad for someone who's like middle-aged like I am in my 40s, but especially as you get to your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, bed rest is one of the worst things that could possibly happen to you. you become deconditioned very, very quickly. And so this happened to me in terms of my strength, which very quickly I lost because I became deconditioned, but also because of the structural damage to my spine, the herniations, the torn ligaments, and that sort of thing. That also stole some strength and added some jacked up nature to how I'm moving, sitting, sleeping, holding my head, and all the rest of that. So that becomes difficult to work through, but certainly worth it. Just before the accident, I was even in the studio recording new guitar tracks, so I was really riding a high, but I had some wiggle room in my life, right? And I was using it. So what I mean by that is I could take more rest days than I probably should, because I'm more in that maintenance phase of getting in good shape, getting in good strength, and kind of reaching the lifestyle where I think I'm all right, and then using that wiggle room. So I was certainly not drinking every night, but I was drinking alcohol. I was taking more rest days. I was probably eating some things that were exercising a little bit more wiggle room than I would normally. So in situations like this, where you're compromised and you're going to be in a downward spiral unless you do something about it, some sort of injury or diagnosis, like I said, it's really important to help give yourself that healthy momentum again. And so after the accident, I met with the neurologist and a bunch of different doctors, and this is kind of what I was looking at. They said I would need vestibular therapy because during the accident, my brain went one way and my head went another way when I was knocked out for the traumatic brain injury. So that compromised the part of my brain, or at least added a lot of inflammation in the part of my brain that is usually responsible for telling you which way up is. And if your brain doesn't know which way up is, then you get nauseous, you get vertigo, and just existing on Earth is a very uncomfortable experience and kind of impossible to do anything. So after the accident, I was very out of it. My spine was in torsion, according to the spine doctor I talked to. It was cutting off blood flow to my brain. And after getting MRIs and x-rays and that sort of thing, thankfully the injuries were serious, but not like going to end my life or completely change my life, as long as I stop using that wiggle room and use that energy instead for recovery. So I met with a neurologist, vestibular therapist, physical therapists, chiropractors for decompression and decompressing the spine, pain management doctors, and then a lot of doctors and practitioners in the alternative space as well, and really made this my full-time job for the past few months. Of course, taking a little bit of time off from working and more time than I would like to from writing my new book about longevity. But it's also given that book and this work a lot more meaning and different kinds of meaning than it had before. I now feel much more empathetic to those who are in a state of having a compromised system of balance, or a compromised spine injuries, that sort of thing, traumatic brain injuries. And as I said before, a lot of these things, just by virtue of being on Earth for longer and experiencing more accidents and things like that, and the natural aging process, a lot of people in their 70s and 80s and 90s have a hard time relating to young, fit people who are talking down at them, who have always been in shape and they were athletic and they're gifted with these wonderful bodies and that sort of thing. And sometimes this happens with doctors who they're listening to as well, where the doctor hasn't necessarily been through the thing on the other side of the table, so to speak. Whereas at this point, longtime listeners know that I've been through a few things over the course of my life, but many of them have been traumatic brain injuries, including when I was in just elementary, middle school. My first traumatic brain injury was in a serious bike accident where I met a tree head first. It broke my helmet, and that recovery took a bit. Some other concussions playing football. Of course, in 2019, being poisoned by carbon monoxide and almost dying. That's similar to a traumatic brain injury. It's an insult to the nervous system. And once the nervous system is damaged, you need to really work to get it back into shape. And so one of the things that happens with these various types of accidents and assaults and traumas over the course of time is that I liken it to kind of like a water in the ear type situation, where if you have a little bit of water in your ear, sometimes if it's just like a tiny amount, it can be really hard to get it out. And so you get some more water in there. And so it's irrefutable. You've got a ton of water in your ear. You have to get that out. And oftentimes that meets up with a tiny little bit of water and you get the whole thing out. This is kind of what happened with me with recovery, in the sense that I had that wiggle room, but I also had a little bit of past trauma that had been, and past injuries that were unresolved that I needed to work through. And layering this massive injury from the accident on top of that made it something irrefutable, where now I absolutely need to work on my nervous system to make sure that I'm not firing in maladaptive ways. Because often what happens is people go through an accident like this, they assume that they're going to be okay and don't do the physical therapy exercises. I'll tell you what, I was excellent. I got an A+ in doing those. I hated it. It was very painful. And I probably went to 40, 50, 60 different appointments of various kinds over the course of months, because I had to retrain my vestibular system and my eyes and the rest of my body to know what up is. And so I would reach the point of being nauseous and dizzy on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day, to try to desensitize that. Then taking a good look at the maladaptive patterns that I have in the way that I think, where my motivation comes from. It can be very, especially for type A's and recovering type A's, it can be very tempting to use the pain of stress and the energy of cortisol to fuel pretty much all of your ambitions in life. And that might work for a while. It certainly has for me in some cases, but you'll burn out. You'll run out of energy. Or when life hands you a setback like this, maintaining that sort of output just becomes absolutely impossible and damaging to you if you keep trying. There are some things that you cannot fix by working harder and harder, and that can be a very tough pill for a lot of us type A's to swallow. But working with the neurologist, one thing that he said to me is that and also the physical therapist, he said, if you weren't in excellent shape and eating really well, low inflammation before this accident happened, there's a very good chance that you'd be experiencing permanent damage to your brain and to your body and your nervous system. Whereas if you're in shape and you do the exercises and you believe that you can get better, that last part is so important. If you believe that you can get better, you actually do. You have to put in the work and believe it, though. And when I had these conversations with the brain specialist, the spine specialist, the vestibular specialist, all the rest of this, I'm like, well, what happens normally when people go through something like this? And they said, well, normally people don't come back to 100%. And I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me. I don't like the sound of that one bit. I'm the type of person who, when life hands me a setback, I make it my objective to get back to 110%. I want to be better than I was before. Because as I said, I was using that wiggle room, maybe a little bit complacent. It happens to all of us. And once you realign with your purpose in life, you can start to see some of these setbacks as gifts. Sorry, I have to keep stopping. There's a leaf blower guy who's right outside my window right now, but I'm just going to power through as best I can. So one of the biggest learnings from talking to all of these doctors and specialists over the past few months, and I ask endless questions, is what differentiates the people who get better from the ones who don't? And one of the biggest takeaways that I can give to you all is that you do have to believe that you can get better. And you will. If you don't believe that you can get better, or if you believe that these injuries will become permanent, whether it's something like a herniation or torn ligament or what have you, some of these things can become psychosomatic over time if there's a maladaptive reaction during your recovery process. The nervous system can also be frozen trying to respond to some of these different traumas. So I've gone deeply into Peter Levine's work, looking into some of the frozen or immobilized nervous system responses that can play out in negative ways and then kind of be baked into our habits. So these are all things that you need to work through. But my long story short, my point is, no matter how bad things seem, if you believe that you can get better, you will. And not everything needs to get better. Pain isn't something where it ever really just goes away. It more just moves to the next spot that's a little bit painful, kind of like worry. You may fix the source of the worry, but as soon as you do, you start looking a little bit over here instead, and then you worry about that. And so if you can work on your responses to these traumas and to these injuries and make sure that you're not baking in a maladaptive response, that's extraordinarily important. So when I sat down with my neurologist, he basically said, Abel, you've been through some tough stuff and your brain is not fully recovered yet. I went through speech therapy, vestibular therapy, physical therapy, and all the rest of this stuff, pain management, multiple infusions and injections and procedures. And I'm still going through some of that. I'm still in pain. But he said, if you can spend the rest of the year not drinking alcohol, that's going to do you a big favor over the long term. And I'm like, okay. And even though the accident happened in June, and I enjoy a good glass or bottle of wine as much as the next person, and scotch too, and the rest of it, this is something that made it extraordinarily easy for me because I do not want to have brain damage, especially not permanent brain damage. I work very, very hard on my body and mind and nervous system to make sure that I can operate at peak capacity. So if that's threatened, good God, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm going to be following the trajectory that makes this better. So adopting that mindset in the face of tragedy is something that is extraordinarily important if you want to get better. So faced with this decision, I could have very easily just sat down and said, oh, poor me. So it could have gone like this. And this is how it often goes for people, at least according to the doctors who I've talked to. A serious injury happens. People are reluctant to see the doctor, and myself included. I try to stay away from that system as best as possible. In a situation like an acute injury, though, very important to see doctors and specialists to make sure that you're getting taken care of. But if you don't take this seriously and you just kind of wait, your body starts to make these compensations, and muscles and ligaments and bones start moving in ways that will keep you going because your body cares about you surviving, but it doesn't care about you thriving forever or entering into the later years of your life very, very healthy, intact, and thriving, that sort of thing. It cares about getting you through acute moments and surviving. But after that, the improvement and the healing, that all goes to you. And so if you don't take this seriously, some of these compensations can set in. Your spine can make these adjustments, and the way that your biomechanics stacks up, the way that your bones and muscles and tendons all move can change permanently if you don't address it. So I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that I'm working and to keep strong the areas that have been weakened, and also not add to the layers of injury that are already there. So for me, this has been very difficult because, as you all know, I've been working out for many, many years and have a particular style of working out that's very, very it's based on cross training. So I'm doing all sorts of different stuff, but primarily my strength is coming from heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, burpees and jumps, sprinting. Every single one of those things I am not able to do right now. And I have not been able to do for the past 4.5 months. When I've tried to do some things that approximate that, I have been severely punished in the form of pain, like spine pain for days after that. And I don't want to set myself back. So that means that I've had to completely reinvent the way that I work out and the way that I try to stay in shape, and also suck it up and accept that I'm deconditioned playing guitar, because I couldn't really play guitar holding it on my back, and neck and spine has become difficult. Thankfully, I've been able to still play piano and play some other instruments and sing and that sort of thing, which keeps me going. But, no guitar, no sprinting, no running, no heavy lifts. Man, how am I supposed to stay in shape? Well, the good news is that even when you are injured, there are lots of things that you can do generally to work on your core mobility. So things like planks, pull-ups is something that I added in a little bit later, but it started with planks and just simple core movements, as well as doing qigong sets, or tai chi movements that focus on bending over without any added weight and then popping back up in a nice, easy, controlled manner aligned with the breath. So this is something that I've been doing for, almost 15 years now. But once again, with the wiggle room, was I doing it every day? No, I wasn't. I wasn't doing my mobility every day. I knew that I probably should. Was I doing my breath work every day? Nope, I wasn't. I wasn't doing a lot of things that I probably should every single day. Now, I was doing them pretty often, but I wasn't completely optimized. I was optimizing for having a good time in the present in some ways, more so than optimizing for the future. That flipped hard after the accident, where doing the right thing in the present becomes painful, uncomfortable, something that I just didn't enjoy, and finding pleasure in life once again when you're not able to do the things that often bring you pleasure and keep you in shape and keep you conditioned as a musician or an athlete or whatever else you do. Boy, that can be a huge bummer. So I had this talk with a few of the doctors where they're just like, yeah, I mean, you could just say, oh, poor me, sit down and drink beers, drink your sorrows away. Or you could double down on healing for the next few months and make sure that you come out of this better than you were before the accident. And so that means that I've given up booze entirely for the rest of the year. I've focused on eating a lot better. I'm fasting less. I'm not doing any heavy lifts. I'm not doing sprinting. I'm not doing jumping. I'm not doing any sort of like loaded lifts aside from some light kettlebells. Lots and lots of walking has replaced the running. And, a challenge that I gave myself, I asked my spine specialist, hey man, can I do pull-ups at least? Because that's not loading the spine. Hopefully it's going to help lengthen it and decompress over time. He's just like, yes, but you have to do them perfectly with perfect form. And so as I got back into doing this and my body healed enough to be able to pull off some pull-ups, I started doing pull-ups pretty much every day, whether it's pull-ups or push-ups, one of those, and usually it's pull-ups. And over the course of a few months, I'm happy to report that though I have lost some muscle, I've certainly lost some fat too. So I've slimmed down. I've reduced my body fat percentage, which actually feels great. Like I was stronger than ever, but I was also heavier than ever in certain ways. I was very top heavy with more muscle than I needed to do most of the things that I do. Which is just, kind of been building and building over time for no apparent reason, aside from me wanting to be strong and kind of take that as a challenge. So I flipped that challenge. And since I can't do that anymore, I'm just like, well, what if I tried to do the most pull-ups I've ever done before, hit a personal best in pull-ups? Pull-ups have always been one of my favorite exercises, not while I'm doing them, but to keep in the routine, because the payoff to what it does for your body and in terms of your overall strength, mobility, and ability to move your body through space, especially upward, climbing, that sort of thing, I think is very, very historically important to humans. But most of us have lost sight of that. So as I've become deconditioned from doing the heaviest lifts, and the sprints and the running, I'm not going to be as fast as I was before. I've been able to reach the personal best in something else. And so this is kind of a really important thing to take away that I've tried to apply in my life in past setbacks. When you do experience an injury or you're not able to play a sport anymore or do something that you love, you have to focus on the things that you're still able to do and give yourself some other thing to go after, some other challenge. And even if it's not quite as sexy as the challenge you were going after before, it's something that will move you forward. And hopefully, when you look back, it'll be something that adds to your skill set over the course of time. Because the truth is, the longer that we do the same exercises and then just get stronger and stronger doing those, the more likely we are to build up some level of imbalance or get too strong in a certain way that really isn't functional anymore. And so I'm really happy to say that I'm feeling much better especially in my 40s, being lighter, standing a little bit straighter, focusing more on the pulling movements, the pull-ups specifically, push-ups as well, that sort of thing. But the body weight movements, the core, the mobility, daily qigong and breath work, combined with daily core workouts, which before I turned them into core workouts, which are just a few minutes usually, just a couple minutes a day or even 5 minutes a day tops. Before that, I was doing much harder core, heavy lifts, usually at least once a week, sometimes more than that. And it would take me, 25, 30 minutes, that sort of thing. But then I would have to recover over the course of many, many days. And I was kind of like heavy, sore, puffy, inflamed. And now that I've swapped that for much quicker, easier, more core-based and body weight-based workouts with much lower weights, I don't need that recovery time like I did before. I don't need those rest days in the same way, at least not resting from activity. And I'm really enjoying being more mobile. And now that I've been doing daily Tai Chi, Qigong mobility for just a few minutes, once more, every day, it's about 8 to 10 minutes in the morning. This is something that I'm actively feeling so much better. And, I'm coming from a place where I wasn't really able to bend over. My back and spine were so messed up, certainly not able to bend over and pick anything up, which meant I couldn't really do housework or help out or do a lot of the things that I really love and need to do. Doing this unweighted, body weight only, starting small, everyday type physical therapy activity is something that has brought me back to a level that's once again better than I was before in terms of mobility. Now, I'm not as strong as I was before doing the heaviest deadlifts, but who needs to be? Like this, who am I kidding? I'm in my 40s now. I don't need that. And I think carrying a bit of less weight, especially if you're able to be more mobile, less stiff, and move in a way that's more appropriate for our bodies historically and ancestrally speaking, this is a huge win and a takeaway that you can also apply to your own life. So look at the way that you're training right now, and whether it's for a sport, a personal best, or for longevity, ask yourself, why are you training? And is there a way that you can make it point a little bit closer toward aging well, as opposed to just, being performative or getting good at something or getting strong in some arbitrary way? Like, what if you instead applied all of that energy to making sure that you move in the best way possible? That is a critical difference. Anyone who's looking to move in a more natural, primal way, I would encourage you to check out the work of Erwan LaCour. He's been on the show a number of times. He's the founder of MoveNat and also Breath Hold Work. Erwan LaCour, fantastic. So make sure to look up the Abel James Show, type in Erwan, Lecorre, and you'll find some of Erwan's work. But moving like a natural human is one of the greatest gifts that you can experience. And honestly, that doesn't usually come from going in the gym and just lifting heavy. As great as that can be for your metabolism and metabolic health, you're going to feel a lot better when you start moving better. So just to recap, no running or sprints for me, no heavy lifting, no housework or bending over, walking over running, less fasting in the morning. I was doing an OMAD or one meal a day for many years, as many of you know. I've been a big fan of 16-8 type intermittent fasting. But because my body has been under a lot more stress and pain and that sort of thing, engaging in less fasting for the past few months has oddly, I think, helped me slim down and helped my metabolism rev up a bit. We've also been doing the Dr. Davis's L-Reuteri yogurt that I've talked about a few times on this show, and that's something that can help rehab your microbiome. If you're experiencing an injury or you're compromised in some way, or even if you're unhappy over the course of time, your microbiome changes. And for the good gut bugs to stay there, you also need to stay in a good frame of mind. And what I mean by that is if you're in a state of excessive worry, pain, negative states, it kills off your good gut bugs in your microbiome and in your holobiome. And so in order to get that back up to snuff, there are a few different tools that you can use, like eating clean, detoxifying, and making sure that you're nurturing the good bugs in your microbiome. But the best one that I've found has been, aside from, daily or pretty much with every meat meal, we're also eating fermented veg. So some sort of sauerkraut or kimchi, the unpasteurized variety, which feeds your gut bugs, which will help you to digest the meat and the other plants and nuts and that sort of thing that you're going to be eating over the course of that day. So being very specific about the kimchi and that sort of thing, the fermented foods every day, eating nose to tail and getting lots of nutrients from organ meats has been another strategy. But the reuteri, the eating the yogurt, which is fermented differently. Most of the people who are buying yogurt out there in the grocery store don't know that that type of product contains a very, very small amount of probiotic bacteria that's actually going to help you and your microbiome heal. What you need to do if you want the most super concentrated stuff is ferment at home. And so the way that we make this yogurt, once again from Dr. William Davis, he's the one who originally put this on my radar. And now we've been doing this for years, on and off anyway, is you want it to ferment for 36 hours at about 100 degrees, so similar to body temperature. And when you're fermenting for 36 hours, as opposed to 4 hours or 8 hours or less, which is the case for most commercial yogurts that you can buy, when you're doing it for 36 plus hours, you get many, many more doublings of the good bacteria in that yogurt. So it tastes different, it feels different, and for me and my wife, we tend to get like a little bit of a head buzz after eating the reuteri yogurt. It's one of my favorite things to add into the daily mix of things that we do. So instead of fasting in the mornings, I've been generally eating a little bit of that yogurt. I'm still having some protein powder, but not as much as I did before, in favor of instead eating oysters, sardines, salmon. A lot of that has been canned just because we're landlocked in Texas. We don't have access to a lot of fantastic seafood here, and the seafood that we do have is extraordinarily expensive. So typically we've been eating beef, rice, organ meats. Bone broth is another big piece as you recover. If you have tendon damage, ligament damage, and that sort of thing, as I have, it's really important to make sure that you get a dietary source of collagen going as well. And so having bone broth multiple times a week has been an important part of that. Collagen supplements can also be somewhat helpful, but real food is always going to be better. Also eating a bit earlier in the day, since I haven't been skipping breakfast as often or doing the 16-8 fast or the OMAD fast where I would just eat dinner, I've instead been putting most of my calories earlier in the day and then eating less at night. And that's another reason why I think I'm feeling better, sleeping better, and just feeling like I'm running a little bit cleaner. Because one of the things that you can fall into, as I have many times, is if you're doing the 16-8 or the OMAD 1 meal a day style of eating, then you can tend to push things a little bit too far in the sense that you're still at a caloric deficit, but it's 8:30, 9:30 p.m. And so you're just like hitting the peanut butter and eating it by the scoop, or you're eating something else that you shouldn't be, even though you should be getting ready to go to bed. And so if you want to sleep better, which has been an important part of my recovery, after the accident, I was sleeping 13, 14 hours a night for a few nights because of my brain injury. That was awful. So as soon as I got out of that acute phase, I made sure that I would go to bed as early as reasonable after sundown, and then wake up to see the sunrise every single day. And now at first that probably sounds like a chore, or like waking up early would be a drag, but this became my favorite part of the day. Waking up, about an hour before sunrise for all the color changes. And this was in the middle of the summer too. So oftentimes I'd wake up early. I'd go to the lake here in Austin, one of the coffee shops, and watch the sunrise. Even though I was in, a tremendous amount of pain, even just like sitting there, standing there, whatever, because of my neck and my bobblehead, and my neck's not strong enough to hold my head up anymore. At least it wasn't then. It was one of those things where I got used to waking up, doing my Qigong exercises, getting nice and hydrated, getting red light in front of the panels that I have here at home, getting some more red light directly on the spine to help with some of the inflammation, and then getting right to work on my book, my new book. So that's another piece of all of this. As you know, shortly before the accident happened, I had already been working on my new book about longevity, but having this experience, this injury and recovery in the middle of it has really given me a whole lot of more perspective and hopefully insight into how other people can heal. Because it's not so much about finding the perfect system or the perfect way of living that you just stick to forever. That could get you health, but that's not how life works. How life works is you think everything is figured out and going great until some setback happens. And then because of that curveball, you fall out of the pattern of those good habits and you start to do some maladaptive ones, or you build in a little bit more wiggle room because you've earned it or you want to enjoy life a bit more. But in fact, if you can take these times when you experience that setback to double down on your longevity, on the practices that will support your longevity, which are very similar to the ones that will support your day-to-day vitality and metabolic health. When you can align that, when you can align your long-term goals to sacrifice what may be, that hedonic pleasure that you would otherwise experience from drinking every day at happy hour, you don't have to give up the pleasure. You just have to delay it a little bit. Here's another thing that's really helped. Instead of saying, oh, well, I'm not drinking alcohol, so I can't have happy hour. And, my wife, Allison, also doesn't really drink anymore out of choice. And she, and I have, over the course of the past few weeks and also visiting my folks a few weeks ago, we've been having happy hour pretty much every night. We just don't put alcohol in the drinks. I've been making mocktails, some of them with a buzz, using kava, kratom in small amounts. You want to be careful with all of these substances that have potential for habitual use or addiction, but certainly kicking alcohol out of the equation for a bit has given me a lot more appreciation for how much of it, alcohol is a drug. We don't tend to think about it that way because it's so normalized and it's available almost everywhere, from coffee shops to bars to weddings and funerals. Like, booze is everywhere. But if you just take away that option for yourself to go alcohol free for even a few weeks or 30 days, or especially longer, you start to see that these people who are drinking alcohol are doing drugs in public. Like, alcohol is not less intense than a drug. It, in fact, is a drug and is more intense and more damaging than most of the drugs out there, to be honest. So that's been a very powerful thing to remove from my life, which I've done. People who have been listening to the show or who are familiar with our work know that we often take breaks from alcohol. But this one has probably been the most necessary and the most valuable ever since. So if any of you are out there and you want to get a handle on your health and your longevity and feel more vitality, get away from the negative habits, get away from the alcohol and the booze and that sort of thing, and replace it with something that's more fun, and replace it with community and socializing in a way that's actually healthful instead of just avoidant, as with, a lot of the times when we're just going out and drinking our sorrows away. We might be able to help you. Right now, we're working on building a new community project, a new club that we're going to be announcing soon. The best way to stay up to date about all this, once more, is go to my website, abeljames.com, and sign up for the newsletter, abeljames.com. And the newsletter is something where if you just want to reply to me, the emails that you get, I read those. So if you have a question or you'd like to join up with an in-person community or in-person events, retreats, that sort of thing, get in touch with us. We're going to be building out our community and doubling down on that a lot in the year to come. So I'm sincere when I say I want to help you move forward in the best way you possibly can. And after 15 or so years almost of doing this podcast and and writing about all this and doing all this work, there's a lot to share that'll be coming out in my new book. But since I still have a lot of writing to do as far as that goes, you're going to be getting a lot of these learnings early if you join up with one of our communities. So once more, just go to abeljames.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we'll let you know when that's coming up, as well as some of our live events and retreats that are coming soon. We're really excited about this. Okay, so a couple more things in the few minutes that we have left. One thing that's been really helpful for many years that I kind of fell out of was getting glutathione supplements and shots specifically. They call them boosters. Don't love that word, but you can also get infusions of glutathione. And glutathione is a master antioxidant that is one of the very few things that you can feel when you take it. And for me, based upon my genetics, I have a hard time detoxifying. And so glutathione, when I get a bit of it in there, I don't feel so much the liposomal, although I take that pretty often as well. But I think the booster shots are generally 400 milligrams, and sometimes it can be quadruple that if you're getting a full infusion. If you feel like you're running ragged and you've never had glutathione in a booster shot or an infusion, that is certainly something to add into the mix. Massages can be really helpful for detoxifying. Sauna has been something I've been doing in the sauna blanket and going to sauna as soon as my brain could tolerate it again, because I had exercise intolerance and a lot of other issues that prevented me from using the sauna for a few months after the accident. But as soon as I was able to, that's been another big piece. Doing the cold plunges, I am not as devout cold plunger as many other people, but I do enjoy a good cold plunge from time to time. When there's one around, I'll use it, but oftentimes I'm getting cold exposure through the air. So when I go for a morning walk with the pup, if it's colder outside, usually I'll just wear a t-shirt and shorts and feel those goosebumps and let my body kind of adapt to that. But you do want to, when you're getting everything back in order, you want to align your circadian rhythm, and that is so important. So front loading some of the calories and the physical activity and the light with the sunrise earlier in the day has been very helpful in that regard, and that's something that you could carry forward from this. Also, methylene blue after the brain injury, I assume, I don't know because I can't compare to a control or something like that, but I assume that was very helpful as well as it has been in the past for protecting the brain and protecting the metabolism from outside assaults. And then finally, I just want to share that as I do all of this research and try to take this negative experience and transmute it into learnings that are coming out in a new book about longevity, mentally speaking, one of the most important things to do is, in the face of life setbacks, is try to find a way to come out of it as a victor, as a way where you're better off for this experience, even if it was something shady or gnarly or backwards, whatever. If you're able to come out of this better than you were before, you're going to be okay. You're going to do well in life. And I hope that listening to this and kind of following along for some of the experiences that I've had when I've been poisoned or run over by a truck or whatever it is, like all these things can help you realize that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to stay perfect. It's really all about adapting and changing your lifestyle and optimizing when you're faced with life setbacks that you start to get the real progress. So where am I now? Well, I'm certainly not fully recovered, but doing a lot better than I was. I'm out of the acute phase of injury, and I'm thankful that I'm able to do things where I'm moving around, I'm walking again, I'm getting outside, I'm able to do some work, even some housework again, and I really missed being useful. I didn't miss doing housework, but I missed being useful. So those of you who have your health right now, who are fully intact and all of that, are generally uninjured, take a moment to practice some gratitude as well, because you don't know how wonderful it is to be useful and to walk upon this earth unimpeded until that's taken away from you. And for a while there, and even now, like driving around in the truck, I'm seeing the people out running and sprinting, and I'm like envious, right? I'm just like, oh man, I remember when I used to go out there and run and sprint just a few months ago. and knowing that I can't do that for a while makes me really miss it, but appreciate the things that I'm still able to do and the things that I'll be able to do in the future. So yes, life is tough sometimes, but we'll all get through this together. So one more reminder to please join up with us and check out some of the new projects that are coming soon. I would love to meet you in person or online, and we're starting up Club Wild. My new book will be coming out in this coming year, and we have a lot of other projects, in-person events, retreats, and more. So one last time, make sure that you sign up for my newsletter to stay up to date. That's at abeljames.com, abeljames.com. And if you'd like ad-free versions of this show, some bonus episodes, and other ways to like DM me and get in touch with the community, check out my Substack as well at abeljames.substack.com. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I look forward to being in touch. We'll see you next week. Hey y'all, this is Abel, and thanks so much for hanging out until the end of this episode. As promised, here's an entire, largely improvised live show of some of my original tunes with some guest artists, my new friend Mike, I should say, as well as Ainsley Costello at the end of the set. I just want to give a special thanks to Mike from Toonster, as well as Jim and Julie Costello from Phantom Power Music, and all of the other people on the team, Steven behind the scenes, and others who helped make this show and live stream possible. You'll see certain things pop up on the screen. That's because during the live show, we were live streaming out internationally, and people were able to donate microtransactions in Satoshis or small fractions of Bitcoin, kind of as tips or as encouragement to the musicians. And I was just one of them who played at multiple of these shows. So that's kind of a fun interactive element that you saw during that show that I played at Antone's in Austin a few months ago, as well as in these shows too. So check out Toonster and Phantom Power Music and Nostr as well, because this show was largely a celebration of Nostr, which is an open source protocol that allows you to do a lot of the things that happen on social media without this centralized intermediary like Meta, Instagram, Facebook, Google, Amazon, those sorts of things. We can actually do this from the bottom up in a decentralized way too. But otherwise, you don't have to know or care about any of that either. You can just enjoy the show. So I'm just going to shut up now and let you listen to the music. I hope you enjoy this show called Nos Vegas. Let's go.
Hello, Nos Vegas. My name is Abel James. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We got our buddy Mike on the pots and pans too. This is going to be a fun jam with some special surprises indeed. We're going to start off with one of my tunes called Headline.
Change your name. She still struts and stuff, but it's not the same. Cause she's just a fool caught up in the game. You can't waste no time when you're loaded. You can't waste no time, no, when you got a headline. When you got a headline. When you got a headline. She got furry coats and ripped up jeans, and she only hangs with those of esteem. It's like a pussycat, but she acts real mean. Cause she sold her soul to a magazine. You can't waste no time when you're loaded. You can't waste no time, no, no, when you got a headline. When you got a headline. fancy face and fancy shoes. In checkout lanes is where we find our view. It's with the cash, but not the truth. You got 7 lovers, did you hear the news? You can't wait no time when you're lonely. You can't waste no time, no, no, when you got a headline. Since you got a headline. Since you can't waste no time when you're loaded. Since you can't waste no time, no, no, because you got a headline. Yeah, you got a headline. Yeah, you got a headline.
Thank you so very much. All you out there on the interwebs, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the boosts and the zaps. We're so happy that you're joining us in the Nosterverse. Mike, what's your name? Is it Mike B. Drummond? Make sure to check out our boy Mike at Mike B. Drummond on Noster. I'm Abel James, A-B-E-L James. All right, this next one is a true story. It's called Damn Particular Man.
Really like my coffee hot and my beer cold and strong. I need my evenings real dark, or I'll be up all night long. Like my blue jeans dry, my glasses jet black, and I need my belly full. But I can't do it with no stack. I'm as stubborn as you. Can't afford no big fat jewels, and I'm always getting myself in trouble. Cause I love to break the rules. Said I'm a damn particular man, but my baby loves me just the same. Oh yeah. Sometimes I see the back of her head, but she loves me just the same. Oh yeah. Said I'm a damn particular man, but my baby loves me just the same. Well, I don't care for TV, eating no sweets. Sometimes I play inside all day. Well, I can't take the Texas heat. I don't want no fine dinners or a big fast car, and I trade any thumping club for some cheap that bar. And I don't care about the drinks or the patterns on our plates. If I be drinking from the bottle with a smile on my face, I'm a damn particular man, but my baby loves me just the same. Oh yeah. Sometimes I see the back of her head, but she loves me just the same. Oh yeah. And I'm a damn particular man, but my baby loves me just the same.
guys doing out there? It is hot up here.
Dude, you crushed it. So good.
Everyone give it up for Martin Grooms. He killed it.
And our boy Bobby, Jesse Lark, we got Sarah Jade coming up.
Maybe even a special guest or two.
It's gonna be
A really wonderful night.
orange and purple, baby.
Steven, did I lose guitar volume a little bit?
Okay, we're good.
This next tune is a little bit creepy. It's called Vulture. Also based upon a true story, but it's not about me. It is not autobiographical at all. Sometimes artists have to take a little bit of artistic license.
Oh, you know, I never dreamed of gold. There's a shadow on my soul. I wait for the final call, you know, when my die will be rolled. I tried to be a better man, but I drag these demons through the sand. Here's the beating of my wings, too much for you to stand. 'Cause I'm a vulture in the night, I don't mind a fight. Well, I'm looking straight at you, and baby, how could I refuse you? And every night I do the same, squawking out your names. I use all the classic lines on the scraps left behind, and so I sneak up by your side, while I still got my pride. Though you're swatting me left and right, I'll be pecking at the hide. 'Cause I'm a vulture in the night. Damn, you're out of sight. Well, I'm looking straight at you. So baby, how could I refuse you? When you're dancing around your shoes, baby, no, you take me to paradise. I would settle for just one of you ladies, but two would sure be nice. 'Cause I'm a vulture in the night, and I got a healthy appetite. Well, I'm looking straight at you. So baby, how could I refuse you? I got nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Gonna be doing a lot of originals here tonight.
Now
this one actually is a little bit autobiographical. It's the story of how I quit my job in the corporate life, was happily broke for the first time, packed up everything I had into a tiny little 1985 Mercedes diesel that I converted to run on biodiesel, so it was running on vegetable oil, driving around the country. And everyone told me I was crazy, but I was having the time of my life. A little crazy's good, right? So this one's called Live While I'm Alive.
Everything I got, 'cause I ain't worth a dime. I said, no, you won't. No, you won't. Kid, you must have lost your mind. I said, I just found a ride for me, an 85 Mercedes Benz. I know she needs some TLC, but she found herself a friend. I said, no, you won't. No, you won't. Son, you must have lost your no more. I'm gonna play guitar all day, make my living in Austin Lounge, rock my blues away. They said, no, you don't. No, you don't. Man, you must have lost your mind. You must have lost your mind. But I'm gonna live while I'm alive, and ain't nobody ever gonna change my mind. I said, ain't nobody ever gonna change my mind.
Woo! Thank you so very much. Thank you for the dancers up front, too. Are those sticks flying back there?
Yeah. It was totally on purpose. 100% on purpose. All part of the show.
Hey, it works. Man, you're crushing it on those pads. It's ridiculous. Are they? Good. All right, I'm sweating like a pig, so I'm gonna dial it back a notch. This song is brand new. It's called Doing Fine, Bud.
Time's been passing, I'm doing fine, but thanks for asking. Guess I never knew the years roll by so fast. With all those checks that I've been cashing along the line, I must have lost the passion. Guess good times ain't always meant to last. And I'm too old to go off to war, but at least I know fighting for, and maybe it's time we forget the past. In time, we all fade away. In time, everything goes great. So I thank God for each and every day. But he's not here. He was speeding so fast that he couldn't steer. When you're young and dumb, you never think you could crash. So think of some old friend that you hold dear. Get back in touch and grab him a beer. Any one of us could leave this rock in a flash. And I'm too old to go off to war, but at least I know what I'm fighting for, and maybe it's time we forget the past. In time, we all fade away. In time, everything goes great. Thank God for each and every day. And I'm too old to go off to war, but at least I know what I'm fighting for, and maybe it's time that we forget the past. Each and every day.
Thank you very much. All right, let's do Voodoo Queen next. This next tune is on my Swamp Thing album. It's called Voodoo Queen.
Now I do. Now I do believe. Now I do believe. I do. I believe. I do. I believe. I do. I believe. I do. I
Let's go! Hey, look at all those booths. Thanks to all of you up there, over there, and out there. You are the best. It's become quite a beautiful night here in Vegas. It was a punishing afternoon, though. Good God, sound check got a little sweaty. All right, we're doing good on time. Sweet, thank you.
Well, I've been lying so long and I feel like a bat out of hell. Well, everything's bad, but the worst thing of all is the smell. And you may think I'm rambunctious, but I'm really not that bad of a hound. Lord knows I've been good since the day I got out of the pound. Well, church bells clanging through the New England fog. I wish it weren't true, but I guess I'm just a lonely dog. Just a lonely dog. Now I'm sick of my food and I had way too much to drink. I can't get out of this town, but I can never get away from the sting. The asbestos smells calling for another old car. I wish it weren't true, but I guess I'm just a lonely. I guess I'm just a lonely dog. I guess I'm just a lonely dog.
That song is old. I wrote it at the grizzled age of 15, backwoods of New Hampshire, where I came from. What, we got some New Hampshireites out there? What do we got? You kidding me? Which part? Dover? Right on. I'm from Maryland, Harbor. You guys are my people. It's a small world in the Nosterverse Bitcoin economy here. We're doing our best to make it a little bit bigger. We got to get more people to this party. More people on Noster, more people into Bitcoin music, because this is really a magical thing. But we got a couple more minutes here. Ainsley, are you out there? You want to come out and do a song? Everybody, we've got a special guest here tonight. It's the one and only Ainsley Costello. She's gonna grab a guitar, so let's burn some time here a little bit. Alright. I'll do a quick one and then we'll pull Ainsley up here. We're gonna do one of Ainsley's original tunes. In fact, it might even be the first song ever to 1 million Satoshis. Let's make it 10 million tonight. As she gets her guitar ready, I'm gonna do a quick little love song I wrote for my wife.
Just calling you my girl, it's never been enough. How could they ever know the depth of my love? Days before you, I didn't really know if one true love was real or just for fairy tales and TV shows. But Pop always told me, when you find true love, you'll know. Oh, my darling, now I know it's you, it's you. Now I know it's you, it's you, it's you. I've been told I laugh in my sleep. Must be dreaming of you, wondering how the hell you felt for me. I found a woman who flows through my veins and opens up my love like the sky when it rains. Pop always told me, when you find true love, you'll know. Oh, my darling, now I know
Thank you so very much. Ainsley, what do you think? You ready for this?
Let's go. Steven, you want me to cheat over here a little bit? Yeah.
Check 1, 2.
There she is.
Oh, hi everybody. How are we feeling tonight, you guys?
Yeah!
Oh my gosh, you guys. I know it's the second day of the Bitcoin conference and we're all tired, but how are we feeling tonight? Give me more than that. What about Mr. Abel James rocking it out for you? Man, I feel like Abel, we've done a couple of shows together at this point. I feel like we're already old friends. I love this.
I love how it works.
Yeah.
It does feel like that.
It does. Well, so I was just talking inside with two of my good friends, Open Mike and Sam Means from Wave Lake, and we were kind of talking about what Mike refers to as my Genesis story, and I'll spare you the gory details. You can find it somewhere on the internet. But this is kind of the song that started it all for me. Apparently, this is a fact that still baffles me. This is the first song that ever hit 1 million sats in the Valueverse, and so you know what? Revenge songs do get you somewhere, kids. That's where we can take from there.
Sure. Yeah, you just give me a nod.
doing on time, Steven? Is that it? Should we turn over? All right, everybody, thank you so much. This is Ainsley Costello. Give it up for her one more time. My name is Abel James. Next up, we have Sarah Jade. Make sure you stick around. Mike, you stick right up here. He's playing with everybody tonight. Talented man behind us. Thanks to you all.
Hey, Abel here one more time. And if you believe in our mission to create a world where health is the norm, not sickness, here are a few things you can do to help keep this show coming your way. Click like, subscribe, and leave a quick review wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. You can also subscribe to my new Substack channel for an ad-free version of this show in video and audio. That's at abeljames.substack.com. You can also find me on Twitter or X, YouTube, as well as Fountain FM, where you can leave a little crypto in the tip jar. And if you can think of someone you care about who might learn from or enjoy this show, please take a quick moment to share it with them. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.